Good afternoon. We're excited to be here in Latrobe and to start this training camp process for 2018. I like the overall look of the group at check-in terms of weight. I thought they performed extremely well in the conditioning test. Not that I'm surprised by that. We're not trying to trick them or surprise them with the test. It's simply an evaluation of a summer's work, and in many cases I've had an opportunity to witness some of that. So really positive day. There were some guys to mention from a non-participation standpoint. Trey Johnson did not participate in the test with a shoulder injury. Eli Rogers, who we acquired earlier, did not participate in the test. He'll be placed on active PUP. You know, he's still going through the process of recovering from his injury. We'll do what's appropriate in terms of that. We'll get a sense of where he is in the rehabilitation process, and when he is ready, whenever that is, we'll proceed. Bryce Harris, offensive lineman, wasn't able to finish the test. We'll see where he is from a conditioning standpoint or health standpoint. Other than that, really positive day. Excited about the check-in and getting started with this team development process. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do you expect?
Bringing Eli back, you had mentioned something, you mentioned him at the owners' meetings. Obviously, that was something that was kind of on your mind the entire time or throughout the offseason process?
You know, he's been around. He's been rehabbing at UPMC's facility, so we've seen him some around. You know, it's just a process. He went through the process, felt like this was the best place for him. We feel like it might be an opportunity for him when healthy. We know enough about him that we don't have to rush that process. When he is ready to go, we'll proceed.
What made you so confident that he would want to come back?
I didn't say that I was.
Do you expect to start camp with anybody else on PUP?
Not at this juncture, no.
Is there any particular reason that Pouncey, Ramon, Cam didn't run?
Some of those guys have been around here. I've seen their work. Those guys stayed in town. Guys have been at it 9, 10 years and so forth, and I've watched work. I extend those courtesies too. And I did with a number of the veteran big men, Cam Hayward and some offensive linemen.
You're putting together your camp plan. What changes might you have made this year compared to previous years?
You know, we'll see. And by that, I mean I do have a plan. But one thing that being up here for 12 years has taught me that plans are subject to change for a variety of reasons. Environment, weather, health of the overall group. I assure you that this is going to be a challenging camp. It needs to be. It's going to be a competitive camp. I just feel like we got a quality group of men ready to go, and that's a good issue to have. It's going to be highly competitive. We got to make sure that we thoughtfully put guys in circumstances where they can put their skills on display so that we can evaluate them. We've had a really good spring and summer from an instructional emphasis, from a get-to-know emphasis, from a conditioning emphasis, and now we get to put all of those things into play and play football. So that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to the process.
You scheduled 11 practices in the first 12 days. Is that a change from the norm? If not, what's the thought process of doing that many?
I don't know that it is. When given an opportunity legally by rule, I'm going to practice. And it's as simple as that. I don't overthink it. You know, the collective bargaining agreement prescribes some guidelines in terms of how you practice, and I toe that line. I don't overthink it. When you get them in this environment and you have 90 capable men, man, you got to work. That's the only way to sort them out, and so I look forward to that.
Was there any concern leading up to the days leading up to report date when Terrell Edmonds wasn't signed that he would be an issue? And how much are you looking forward to seeing him in full pads, full contact?
I had no issues or thoughts or concerns in that regard. It's just a process. I'm looking forward to seeing all the guys, particularly the new ones, the guys that I haven't worked with professionally before in a padded setting. It's really an opportunity to show themselves in that way, the physicality of the game, and particularly at the safety position. It's an element of play. I'm excited about seeing them all. We have some guys at that position that are new to us. Nat's new to us. Morgan's new to us. Marcus Allen. It's going to be an active training camp for that group.
What kind of impression did Terrell make in the OTAs and mini camp?
You know, I thought he represented himself well, but again, it was an instructional emphasis. So, you know, I can paint whatever picture I choose to paint in that regard. We'll see. That's why we're here.
Were you able to learn anything? You didn't have Levy on here last year. That you can apply to this camp as you go through it.
I'm not looking to apply. I'm focused on the guys that are here. My mentality regarding Le'Veon will be very similar to the way it was a year ago. Obviously, both sides tried in earnest to get a deal done. We weren't able to do that, and now we transition and move forward to our 2018 season. When he gets here, we'll evaluate his overall readiness and how much time he missed and see the ramifications of that. Until then, I'm going to be singularly focused on those that are here working and their development. I just think that that's appropriate.
When was the last time you
Last
talked
year,
to
he
him?
did a good job of differentiating maybe perhaps frustrations he may have had not getting a deal done and still his energy putting forth positively towards the team. Did he have any bleed over between the two, or did he separate those well in your eyes?
I thought he did a nice job when he showed up a year ago in terms of his overall approach and attitude. I didn't have any qualms with that, if that's what you're asking.
When was the last
Correspondence
time?
with
When,
him.
I'm sorry?
What's been your level of correspondence with him recently?
It's been fluid. It's been normal, but I'll leave the details of it between he and I. I just think that that's appropriate. I don't want to get into that. Have you talked to him today type of deal. I want to stay focused on the guys that are here. So respectfully, that's going to be my position.
Mike, how do you feel about the depth at the running back position?
Man, we'll see. I'm encouraged by some of the candidates that we have. We're going to roll that ball out and give them an opportunity to show that. How they perform will give us a sense of maybe what the competition is like and thus what the depth is like. I try not to have any preconceived notions. You really just try to get 90 capable men in a competitive environment and go through the process. And so I'm looking forward to that.
do you have any reason to hope you'll see Le'Veon here in Latrobe?
Boy, that's a cute question. But again, I'm going to stay focused on where I'm at respectfully. I'm done with the Le'Veon questions.
Mike, AB said to us last year was last year as it related to off-the-field distractions, anthem stuff, suspensions, social media, et cetera. Do you feel like a line has been drawn there? Do you think that this year's team is going to be different in that context?
I think every time I come here, I'm singularly focused on the development of this group and the challenges that lie ahead in that charge. The past is the past. You know, I don't seek comfort in that regard. I don't worry about things that transpire with other football teams. I'm focused on this group and the men in it and how we go moving forward. I imagine that's the mentality of the men that just ran down there on that field. Many of those guys weren't here a year ago. That's just the nature of football at this level, and that better be your mentality because we're all undefeated. We all got a clean slate. We all have work and opportunities and challenges that lie ahead, and how we deal with them, how we go about this process is what's going to define this group. Definitely not something that's transpired in the past, whether it's 17 or 16 or whatever year.
The men in their second camp, TJ, Juju, what do you hope to see from them this camp that maybe you didn't a year ago?
You know, I'm always really consistent about what I expect from a second-year player. I expect a significant jump, and it's reasonable to expect that. They've been through this process in totality. They understand the culture that we build here, what's expected from them, and how they potentially fit in it. All that knowledge should add to fluid play and contributions and increasingly so. So we expect all those guys to evolve as football players within our group.
Mike, you had some guys get injured early in camp last year, draft picks. And I'm kind of curious, does that affect the way you do any type of preparation for the early days of camp, or is that just the nature of football?
It's the nature of football. Obviously, it's unfortunate, but injuries do occur, and that's one of the things I was referring to earlier in regards to the schedule. You know, there's variables at play when you get in this setting that dictate how you work or what work you do, and you just got to be thoughtful and be light on your feet from an adjustment standpoint when required. Obviously, you know, that's not something that you want to deal with, but you have to from time to time.
Mike, did you ask Sean Davis to put on weight before the season?
I did not.
You talk about competition. Is there one position battle you were especially excited to see?
Absolutely, all of them. You know, that's why you're here. It's a beautiful thing. You know, competition, it brings the best out in all of us, and so I look forward to that aspect of it.
Like the past couple of years, Ben's done a full workday, partial workday, and had a day off. Do you plan to continue that? And does Landry need as much time to get ready now as
You know,
in previous years?
we're going to find our rhythm in terms of work with all the guys, and you know, I've always been open to individualized plans per guy, particularly when a guy has unique variables at play. Ben's done this for a long time, and so it's good to preserve him and have an eye toward the complete journey. And he's got a cumulative body of work and stuff that allows that the training process to maybe not be as long as it is for some others. So we work within that. We've done that with a number of guys over the years that I've been here, and I'm open to it. And every year, who that is potentially changes. So that's Ben is somebody that we've done it with. We'll see where this journey takes us.
Mike, you're at 12th year. Do you have to challenge yourself to stay fresh? Do you even have to consider that? Do you have to consider changing your message to keep them sharp with you? Anything like that?
I hadn't thought a lot about that in terms of the totality of my stay. I get focused on the development of this group, so the message naturally changes year to year. It's our job to provide this group what it needs to grow, and every group is different, so what you provide them is somewhat different. Obviously, the times and the things that are going on in and around us make that messaging different. Rules of the game, evolution of the game, and so forth. So that's not something that I spend a lot of time worrying about in terms of staleness of the message. I just think that duly preparing this group, knowing the variables at play in 2018 takes care of that. And not to mention the men that are across from you in the room change over the years. You know, I'm not looking at James Ferrier and guys like that in those team meetings. There's a continual evolution and flow of guys that are in front of you, and I'm aware of that as well.
And you're just naturally enthusiastic every year.
Man, are you kidding me? I was ready to go July the 5th.
Did you catch Antonio's arrival?
I did not. I heard about it.
And your thoughts on it from what you heard?
It's AB. You know, it's a beautiful thing. He's ready to go.
You mentioned individualized plan with Ben. How does that process work between you and him as you guys plan that out?
It's not something that we develop here. It's ongoing. It's, you know, it's a lot of variables at play. His overall health at the previous season really dictates how he works going into that off season, or how much rest he gives himself, and usually it leads into this discussion. So it's not something that he and I sit down and talk about once we get here. We've continually talked about it over the course of the beginning elements of the off season.
What's the most challenging aspect of going from being a position coach to a coordinator?
Management of staff, not necessarily what you do with players, but the management of staff, the division of labor, managing that, coaching coaches. You know, they're very different jobs from that perspective. Very similar jobs in terms of your relations or interactions with players. You know, I'd imagine that that's the most significant element of it. At least it was for me.
And what got you through that? Trial and error, doing it?
Detail, rolling your sleeves up, communicating with people fluidly on a consistent basis. You know, I like to feel like we build a calendar and schedule that allots for that creates opportunities where that happens, and it's not something that they have to significantly think about. I know I've always thought about my journey as I develop calendars, not only in terms of the work that you see our team do, but just largely how I move the group through a 24-hour period, whether it's staff meetings and team meetings and so forth.
Curious at all about Randy as a play caller, or do you feel like you know?
Man, no, man. I was a wideout coach when he was a play caller, man, in 1997. I think. What year was that? Yeah, I've seen that show before. It's going to be fun.
Spread now, though, right?
Huh?
Not the spread now, right?
You know, not much has changed in the big scheme of things. They got 11, we got 11. We better move the ball fluidly down the grass.
Like James Harrison, somebody you spent a lot of time with, a lot of years with, and he last week said publicly, kind of questioned some of your coaching styles, were you disciplined or playing favorites or something like that. Is that something you take offense to or think about? Take heart?
I don't think a lot about it, to be quite honest with you. He has an opinion. He's entitled to it. He doesn't play for us right now, man. I'm focused on 2018, man. That soap opera stuff, I'll let you guys, play that game.
Do you do a self-evaluation at the end of a season and look at yourself at all? I mean, from afar, or is that something?
Seriously?
I'm just curious. I mean,
Absolutely. That's part of the process, man. If you're not trying to get better, what are you doing? You don't get to do this for 12 years if you're not taking that approach. You gotta be kidding me. That's routine elements of business.
Why do you so love camping away, coming up here?
Just the informal opportunities for growth individually and collectively that you get in this environment is pure.
Pure meaning there aren't the usual distractions at home?
There's aren't usual elements of life up here. We're in under one building and in a isolated environment, spending really good time together, focused on the task at hand, and that's awesome. If you love football, man, you love that type of environment.
Two more questions?
You talked about the growth as a coach.
I'm sorry, I can't hear
You talked
you.
about your growth as a coach, over the 12 years. I mean, is there still people that you lean on to grow, that you look to for advice to advance your career?
I look not only to people within my sport, but other sports. I look everywhere for that. I think the longer you do it, that it affords you an opportunity to do those things, to open up the scope in which you approach what it is you do. And I've always been open to that.
Last one?
Yeah, who are those people in the other sports that you do take after?
I didn't say I take after. I said I look to people and things. I'll leave that to myself. It's a nice process that I like to go through, and quite frankly, I don't talk quite a bit about it.